Series projector screen from Helsyn. This one here is 130 inch in a 16 by 9 format, and what we're going to do today is unbox it, show you how the assembly works and the installation process, and run through some tips and tricks on that whole process itself. Now, one thing you will notice with these is the boxes are really compact. So this one's about 180 centimeters, 190 centimeters tall, and what that means is that you can fit them in almost any vehicle because the width rails of the screen are broken down the center with a joining plate. So what that just means is they're nice and easy to move around, get into sites, and you don't need to worry so much about opening and access. So as you can see, these are wrapped in plastic. This is just to keep them as weatherproof as possible. So if you're taking them to site or putting them on the outside of a van, on the roof, you won't have any problems with them getting wet. You've got your outer layer of plastic here, and then you've got corner protection as well. So they're very resilient to damage in transit. Now, to show you what's in the box, the first thing you'll notice is this black material. This is a backer for the screen that goes behind the acoustic transparent screen material itself. This is to stop reflection of things like the edges of speakers coming back through the screen when light hits them from the projector. This is often not used in acoustically transparent screens and is a large compromise in the performance that you'll get from your image. After that material, you'll see the screen is in this roll. You've got the horizontal rails and the vertical rails here, and then you've got the plastic rods that go down the edges of the screen. You've got a metal frame which is a spacer for the middle, and then you've got a user manual. You've got hardware box parts, and then more of the edge connectors. Now, the manual just shows you the assembly process, kind of what you'd expect of a manual, nothing particularly amazing. Then you've got your hardware for mounting the screen material. This looks like a screwdriver, but it's actually a device for stretching the screen. You've got your gloves so you don't get the screen dirty by touching it. You've got the screen tensioners. Then you've got your mounting hardware. So this is for wall mounting the screen. And then you've got your corners. This is for the edges of the screen. So you want to clear out your workspace so that you've got plenty of room. I've got the edge rails over here, and then I've got the top and bottom of the screen material itself over here, and on this side I have the left and right parts of the screen. Now, the next thing you'll note, which is a good tip, is that the screen is rolled in this material. This is a great thing to put down on the surface that you're working on to avoid the screen itself touching the floor and getting dirty. So that will be the next thing I'll do. I'll roll that out on the ground and you'll see where we go to from there. The next step is to lay the screen out with all of the rails facing downwards and all the corners together. Then you can lay out all your hardware. These are the joiners for the long lengths, and you've got the corners in the corners and all the appropriate grub screws for each one. The next step is to put all of that together. Now, when you're doing the corners up, you want to make sure you get the edges perfectly lined up on a 90. So normally what I would recommend is you do the first two corners, get the three sides of the screen together, and then put the last side in on both ends of that rail at the same time. And if you push these together until you can get the most accurate line on these corners here, and then just tighten the grub screws. Once you've got one done up, you can get the other one ready, and then just get as close together as possible on that, like so, and tighten the next one. And then go ahead and do the last few. The next step is to roll the screen material out. Now, for the screen handling, you probably want to wear the gloves just to avoid getting any marks or fingerprints on it. What you want to do is roll the material out over the screen frame, and you want the screen material side or the front surface facing down, which is of course towards the front of the screen. And you will notice that when you get to the end of the roll, it's conveniently labelled with a front and rear sticker here, front, which should be face down. Once the screen's rolled out, the next step is to put the rails in the edges. next step is to tension the screen with these small black tensioning plates. So what you're going to do is take the edge of the screen, which has this rail in it, and you're going to force it into this channel at the perimeter of the screen frame. So once you do that, you take this plate like this and you push it onto the frame like so, and it holds the rod in place and tensions the screen. I would recommend putting a few of these on each side and then working your way towards the corners. Here's a closer view of the process of tensioning that rod into the edge and then stretching the frame, placing that onto the edge here, and that's it. Now that the screen's nicely tensioned with these grippers at about 200mm centers, it's time to put the black backing material on. So it's the same process again, just lay it down, put the edge rods in, and then use the grey clips, which I'll just show you now, to hold the rails to the perimeter. That's these ones here. The last step is to install this cross member. So this basically tensions the screen in the center to stop it sagging or bowing in towards the middle. And you need to stretch this into place across the center of the screen and hold it in place with two of these little grey clips on either side. So there you have it, a fully assembled 130-inch screen, acoustically transparent, with a black backer on the back to avoid rear reflections. This screen has an acoustic attenuation of less than 1.8 dB, and it also has a gain of 0.97. So in terms of performance of this screen, it's extremely high for a dedicated cinema environment. All you need now is to hang it on the wall, and then you're finished for the day.